The Meiji Era, which extended from 1868 to 1912, was a pivotal and transformative period in the history of Japan. The nation underwent a rapid process of modernization and westernization, shedding centuries of isolation and embracing policies and practices that propelled it towards becoming a global power. Prior to the Meiji Era, Japan adopted a policy known as sakoku, which effectively isolated the country from external interactions and trade with foreign nations. During the mid-1800s, the global community witnessed the advent of modernity, characterized by significant advancements in various nations. This era was marked by the flourishing of international trade and the introduction of groundbreaking inventions, including the inaugural electric batteries and steam engines. Nevertheless, Japan continued to uphold a feudal system of governance, which lagged significantly behind the progress observed in other parts of the world. However, an important turning point occurred on July 8, 1583, with the arrival of the Perry expedition under the leadership of Commodore Matthew C. Perry from the United States Navy. The primary objective was to facilitate the establishment of trade relations between the United States and Japan. Additionally, it aimed to safeguard the security of American ships navigating the region. In response to the Japanese resistance in signing a trade treaty, Perry ordered issues for his ships to proceed towards the capital of Edo and strategically position their cannons in the direction of the city of Uraga. Also, he fired warning shots from his fleet's 73 cannons, displaying the formidable firepower of his vessels and effectively conveying a direct and unequivocal threat to the Japanese authorities. The arrival of the Perry expedition holds great significance from the Japanese perspective, marking a crucial juncture in the country's history. The arrival of the American ships led by Perry came as a shock to the Japanese government. It was recognized that the nation was experiencing a relative decline in technological and military achievements in comparison to the Western powers. Japan acknowledged the potential repercussions of inadequately addressing the situation and understood the need to modernize its social, political, and economic structures. Considering internal objections and resistance, the Japanese government came to the realization that the sole means of averting foreign occupation was through engaging in negotiations with the Americans. In 1854, following a series of negotiations, the Treaty of Kanagawa was successfully concluded. This pivotal agreement facilitated the entry of American ships into Japanese ports and established a framework for diplomatic relations between both nations. The Perry expedition meant the beginning of a transformative era in Japan. The nation embraced trade and subsequently established diplomatic relations with various Western countries, resulting in significant influences on its culture, politics, and society. The process of modernization in Japan experienced an important jump following the Perry expedition. This was primarily due to the implementation of domestic reforms and the active pursuit of Western knowledge and technology. However, the influx of numerous changes was not universally embraced by the Japanese population. Specifically, the individuals who had derived advantages from the feudal caste system, such as the samurai, expressed discontent. The samurai had traditionally occupied significant roles in Japanese society, serving as court officials and government aristocrats. The influx of new foreign goods and the subsequent rapid transformation of fashion and cuisine in Japanese society were sources of discontent among affluent merchants. The Meiji era began because of the consolidation of a group of feudal lords, referred to as daimyo, hailing from the Satsuma and Choshu regions in the southernmost part of Japan. Their collective goal was to topple the Tokugawa shogunate and reinstate political authority to the emperor. During the period spanning from 1867 to 1868, the shogunate encountered opposition from multiple anti-government factions, along with allegations asserting its inability to adequately equip Japan to confront Western influences. Therefore, the resignation of the final Tokugawa shogun occurred, resulting in the restoration of power to the imperial family. On February 3, 1867, Prince Mutsuhito, who was 14 years old, ascended to the chrysanthemum throne as the 122nd Emperor of Japan, following the passing of his father, Emperor Kome. Under the leadership of Mutsuhito, Japan initiated a comprehensive program aimed at modernizing and adopting Western practices. The emperor implemented a series of political, social, and economic reforms with the aim of bolstering the nation's strength and enhancing its ability to compete with Western powers. The reforms covered the elimination of the class system, the establishment of a centralized government, and the drafting of a constitution. Following this, Mutsuhito assumed the title of Emperor Meiji, a designation that implies enlightened leadership. The start of the Meiji Era was officially shaped in 1868. A primary objective of the Meiji government was to consolidate authority at the center and achieve national unity, as the country was previously divided into various feudal domains. To this end, the new administration enacted a succession of administrative reforms that dismantled the feudal system and concentrated power in Tokyo, which was subsequently established as the nation's capital. The Meiji era in Japan was characterized by a significant emphasis on the country's modernization. Drawing inspiration from Western powers, the Japanese government initiated a rapid process of industrialization. This involved the construction of factories, the growth of textile and steel industries, and the establishment of modern transportation systems, including railroads and telegraph lines. Additionally, Japan implemented economic policies that promoted free trade and encouraged the expansion of large-scale production. Education played a pivotal role in facilitating the modernization of the country during the Meiji era. The government recognized the significance of developing a comprehensive public education system that was modeled after the Western approach, with particular emphasis on science, technology, and foreign languages. To further enhance their educational system, Japanese students were sent overseas to gain knowledge in diverse fields, while foreign teachers and specialists were recruited to teach in Japan. The deliberate focus on education and the assimilation of Western knowledge proved instrumental in expediting the rapid modernization of Japan. The need for Japan to modernize its military was undoubtedly paramount during a period marked by European and American imperialism. The country underwent a significant transformation, transitioning from a system where military training was contingent upon being born into a samurai family to one that embraced conscription. To achieve this modernization, Japan sought the expertise of trainers from Western nations, such as France and Prussia, tasked with instructing recruits in contemporary tactics and weaponry at military academies. To help with the transition of Japan's agrarian economy into a developed industrial one, the government implemented different approaches. One such strategy involved sending numerous Japanese scholars overseas to acquire knowledge in Western sciences and languages. Additionally, substantial government investments were made to enhance transportation and communication networks. Plus, the authorities provided direct support to foster the growth of businesses and industries, with particular emphasis on the influential zaibatsus, which encompass large and powerful family enterprises. To achieve stability within the newly formed government, it was necessary for the former feudal lords to relinquish their land holdings and return them to the emperor. This process was successfully completed by 1870, and, subsequently, the country underwent a restructuring phase where the previously held fiefs were reorganized into prefectures. The former daimyos, who were feudal lords, transitioned into new political roles and ministries, while the central government assumed responsibility for their administrative expenses. Additionally, salaries were provided to individuals who had previously held the esteemed position of samurai. Nevertheless, despite the progress made during the Meiji Restoration, a considerable number of samurai and nobles expressed discontent with the trajectory of these reforms. Particularly distressing for the samurai was the prohibition on openly carrying their swords, a measure that deeply wounded their sense of honor and pride as esteemed warriors. Consequently, a series of violent uprisings ensued, notably the renowned Satsuma Rebellion, spanning from 1877 to 1878. Spearheaded by samurai hailing from the Satsuma province and led by Saigo Takamori, this rebellion emerged as a direct response to the Meiji government's reform initiatives and the concurrent consolidation of authority. Saigo Takamori, a renowned samurai hailing from Satsuma, played a significant role in the demise of the Tokugawa shogunate and the subsequent imperial restoration. Initially, he lent his support to the reforms initiated by the Meiji government. However, over time, he grew progressively dissatisfied with the trajectory of the nation, perceiving a neglect of the cherished principles and values upheld by the samurai class. In 1876, Saigo Takamori made the decision to relinquish all his official positions and subsequently returned to his birthplace in Satsuma. It was in this location that he kicked off a rebellion aimed at challenging the authority of the central government. The uprising itself started in January 1877, when Saigo's forces launched an assault against the imperial government. The rebels, consisting primarily of samurai warriors, engaged in a sequence of intense battles against the Meiji government's military forces. Despite facing numerical and technological drawbacks, the Satsuma rebels managed to achieve some initial success. Nevertheless, the Meiji government responded by mobilizing its national army, gradually overpowering the insurrection. In September 1877, following months of intense and violent conflict, Saigo's forces suffered a decisive defeat at the Battle of Shiroyama. Tragically, Saigo Takamori perished on the battlefield, marking the culmination of the rebellion. Despite their defeat, the rebels' assistance served as a testament to the unwavering determination of the samurai warriors and their opposition to the reforms initiated by the Meiji government. After the insurrection, the Meiji government took steps to foster reconciliation and assimilation of the samurai into the newly established social structure, with the aim of preventing future conflicts. Moreover, the rebellion had a profound impact on Japan's historical perspective, prompting a reassessment of the samurai's societal role. During the Meiji era, Japan not only implemented internal reforms, but also assumed a more prominent position in the global arena. The nation underwent a series of military transformations, aligning its armed forces with Western standards. These efforts reached their pinnacle with Japan's triumph over China in the First Sino-Japanese War, 1894 to 1895, and Russia in the Russo-Japanese War, 1904 to 1905. These victories strengthened Japan's status as an essential military force within the region. The Meiji government's unwavering commitment to modernization and westernization played a crucial role in establishing the groundwork for Japan's subsequent development during the 20th century, leaving a lasting impact that endures to this day. The influence of the Meiji era permeates every element of Japanese society, including economics, politics, culture, and technology. Furthermore, its significance extends beyond national boundaries, serving as a source of inspiration for admirers and scholars worldwide.